back out to Greenbelt, Maryland there. This is right outside the D.C. area. And we still have live aerial pictures over the scene of this shooting incident that took place as teens and juveniles were participating there in Senior Skip Day. And law enforcement told us that shots rang out. 5 individuals, all male, were injured. And so law enforcement just wrapped up a press conference on this. So let's listen.
A recap of what happened today. Somewhere at about 2:30 this afternoon, officers from the Greenbelt Police Department responded to Shrum Hills Park, which is located in the 6900 block of Hanover Parkway. When they arrived on scene, the original officer discovered about 500 to 600 what he believed to be high school students in the park. For those that have not been there, this park is not big, so that's a lot of kids jammed into this particular space. He requested additional officers to respond to the park, and a number of officers from the Greenbelt Police Department, as well as the Prince George's County Police Department and the Maryland State Police, responded to provide assistance. Officers arrived on scene and began trying to control traffic and the crowd as well. And while those officers were walking into the park, they heard the sound of gunshots. They believed at that time to be a number of shots, not verified, but 8 to 10 gunshots. Officers then immediately responded to where those shots came from in an active shooter response. Not only members of the Greenbelt Police Department, again, Prince George's County Police Department and the Maryland State Police. Officers responded. They located 5 wounded individuals. They immediately began providing medical care to those individuals while they secured the area and searched for a suspect. At that moment, when the shots were fired, all of those individuals that were in the park began to flee out on the Hanover Parkway. When they did that, we believe that the suspect left with them and fled the park. We had not located him at this point. Officers provided medical care to those 5 individuals who were transported to local hospitals. The age range of those 5 individuals is 16 to 18. All 5 were taken to an area hospital. 1 is in critical condition. The other 4 are listed as in stable condition. This is currently an active investigation, and we are looking for any information from those individuals who may have been at the party to be able to help us identify this particular suspect. Anybody who has information can contact the Greenbelt Police Department at 301-474-7200. Let me say that this is a horrible, tragic, senseless act that happened today. There's absolutely no reason that this occurred. It is senseless. It is chronic in our society, and we have to do something to stop it. These were kids on Senior Skip Day who were looking to have a good time in a local park. And to have something like this occur is just, it's maddening, honestly. And to the individuals that were there, to their classmates, to the school, to our community, this isn't just going to be something that affects a small group of people. This affects not only the city of Greenbelt, but our entire county, our entire state. These are kids, these are high school kids, and this is just unnecessary, unacceptable. And we have to come together and find a way to keep this from happening. You know, again, I'm pretty upset by this, and there's got to be a way to get this to stop happening. With that, I'll ask my city manager to come forward and say a few words.
Thank you, Police Chief. This is a very unfortunate event that happened. There's really no words to say how senseless this violence is. And I agree with the chief that we have to find ways of getting guns off our streets and doing more on how we can help our young people have better relationships with each other, because these are young people hurting each other. Like Chief said, this is an investigation, so we'll have further evidence and details to highlight in the coming days. And I hope that we can find a resolution and find the person responsible or persons responsible for this senseless act of violence. Now, leading up to the event, our officers were on scene, and I feel fortunate that we had so many officers already on the scene that were there, and I'm sure that that helped in reducing the number of victims in this incident. I also am grateful for the numerous law enforcement agencies that were already on site and provided an immediate response to this incident, and that includes the Prince George's County Police, Berwyn Heights, Maryland State Police. We also had support from ATF and the FBI, and we're grateful for all the assistance that we receive. Moving forward, we're going to be diligent about these unscheduled activities that are happening in our community. We're going to play a greater role in tracking and reporting these incidents. With that said, thank you for your patience as we look for swift resolutions to this open case and this investigation. And I'll hand the floor over to our mayor.
Good afternoon. So it's my understanding that this was a senior skip day meetup informally organized on social media. So I've been told that the group migrated here from another area. So our schools and recreational facilities in Greenbelt were locked down, and we've closed them out of an abundance of caution. So I'm just grateful that our officers were able to quickly help on the scene, and we're grateful for the support of the county and the state. I received a call from the governor stating his support. So our thoughts are with the families, with the classmates, and with the victims. This is unnecessary. And if a group of high school students cannot get together and have a good time, what is the world coming to? So we're shocked. We're grateful for the support, but we have to find a way to deal with situations like this before they happen. So at this time, I think we're going to take questions. Senator Washington, did you have
Sure.
some remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alonzo Washington. I'm a state senator that represents Greenbelt in this area. Today is a tough day for not only Greenbelters, but for Marylanders. To see the senseless violence happen right here in our home, right here in my hometown of Greenbelt, is hurtful. It's not hurtful to me, but it's hurtful to the entire state. Our students and our families deserve a safe place, even in a grocery store or at a park. They deserve to be safe. And unfortunately, unfortunately that happened today. Our students were not safe, and they deserve to be safe. And so we're going to do everything we can to provide the resources that our city needs and our county needs to make sure we bring the individuals that caused this to justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. So before we start taking questions, just a couple of points. Like I said, this is an active investigation, so at this time we won't release a lot of information onto the details of that particular investigation. I will say, one of the things that in these kinds of instances, the officers were there, and what they did to get out there and make sure that nobody else was injured and provide medical aid, it's the kind of thing that really, is what they're trained to do on a regular basis. And I can't thank the individual officers enough for their response, not only our officers for the city of Greenbelt, but the Prince George's County and the Maryland State Police officers. They all responded effectively, utilized their training to secure the scene and provide medical care. And then that could be the difference between somebody making it to the hospital and somebody not. So can't say enough about the quality of the response from the officers. Really want to thank them. Thank you for coming and making this story public. The Prince George's County Fire Department was on scene and really was a big benefit. They provided all that medical care and transport, so thank you to them. And to the families of those young men that were injured, again, I have kids. I can't imagine if my kids were involved in something like that. My heart breaks for them. These are just kids trying to have a good time, and this is what we're treating our kids to, and it's how they're growing up. It's completely, I'm speechless. And so to those parents, my heart breaks for them. And a speedy recovery to their kids, and anything we can do to close that investigation, we will. So at this point, I'll take a handful of questions. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Councilmember Pope? No? Okay. I'll take questions. We'll start. Yes, ma'am.
Chief, do you know if there was more than one shooter?
At this time, I can't confirm the number of suspects involved, but we believe there was one.
We're hearing stuff about water guns as well. Was this happening at this park or the previous event that was taking place in Bowie?
No, that was here. So, what happens is on the kids leave the school and they come over to the local park and they bring super soakers and other squirt guns and they have a good time playing water gun battles. Happened last year and it was relatively peaceful. The number of occasions we had last year, we didn't have any incidents. And so, this is unfortunate. Like I said, we were all high school kids one time or another, and so we might not condone skipping school, but it's the senior skip day, and this kind of thing is just, it's a tragedy that it happens on such an occasion for these kids.
Chief, you mentioned last year the incident. How much, if anything, was known about this event that was coming? Was there any stance that was taken?
We did not know about this until it happened, and one of the things that occurs is the city has park rangers, and they make regular patrols through that park. They had been through the park a little after 1:30, and there was nobody there. When we got the second call to come back just before 2:30, that's when all these kids had materialized in the park. So it is something that we're aware of, and we patrol the parks regularly, whether it be police staff or our park ranger staff. So we do have a presence in the parks on a pretty regular basis, and it was in a pretty short time frame that all of these individuals showed up. Yes, sir.
Chief, and you mentioned ages 16 to 18, all male?
Yes, sir.
And then just to follow up, we blinked out. Sorry, come back to me.
Yes, sir.
How many high schools were involved in this? Do you know?
I do not know the number of schools that were involved.
Gotcha. And you said one in critical, the other 4 stable.
Yes, sir.
Stable is not a condition. Do you know fair, good?
What I was told by the hospital is stable.
So, Chief, is it fair to say that these were hundreds of high school seniors from different high schools in the district? Or are there 1 or 2 specific schools? Because we know it started in Bowie.
Yeah, I don't know how many different schools are associated, and I don't want to speculate at this point because I don't know. I do know that there were kids from Eleanor Roosevelt High School, as well as kids from perhaps Bowie and maybe some of the other adjoining high schools.
Chief, there's some video of quite a few young men being detained. Looked like there was a vehicle that was pulled over and about 11 young men. Can you tell me about that process, if anybody's being looked at, if those people are still being detained?
So that was just part of the sort of the routine, I don't want to say routine, that initial response and stopping and identifying individuals that may or may not have what we believed at that time to have been associated. All those individuals have been cleared at this point and released.
Were there any security cameras in the area?
No, there are no security cameras there.
So, Chief, what are you relying on to help solve this? There's no cameras. Are you just hoping that the students speak?
We are hoping that the students will come forward. We're already starting to see some video online, and we know that there's going to be a lot more of that kind of video out there. So we're really hoping that the students will start sending us that video, or at least post it so we can get it from there, because we know that the person involved is definitely on a camera somewhere. Like I said, there was about 20 police officers, so we have a lot of body-worn camera footage, and so we'll scrub through all of that as well as we try to locate anybody that might have been involved. Yes, sir.
What's your preliminary understanding of possible motives here?
We have nothing at this point. I wouldn't even want to begin to speculate on what a motive was.
Were the victims random, as you understand it?
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
What was, I guess, the goal of having the officers there in the first place, and what was the time frame between them getting there and these shots being fired?
They had been on scene about 10 to 15 minutes, I believe, before the shots were fired. Obviously, the reason they were there is because when you have 500 to 600 kids in a park, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen. And so that presence to make sure that it stays as a relatively fun event for the kids was the entire purpose. The other issue that we had was the traffic along the adjoining roadway was completely stopped from all the cars. And so they had to get that relieved as well as monitor the crowd. Our initial response was to simply monitor the crowd and let them use the park. It's a lawful activity. There'd be no reason to kick them out of the park. And so we were going to let them use the park, and unfortunately, it didn't happen.
All right, so the chief law enforcement officer there for Greenbelt, Maryland, giving an update on this pretty scary and dangerous shooting incident today that happened at this park. There were hundreds of young people there. They're kind of terming this the senior skip day shooting. 5 individuals were struck by gunfire, and they were all male, 3 of them adults, 2 of them juveniles. And so we'll just have to wait and see if we get any more updates. We've been in touch with our Fox 5 DC folks as well. They're covering this story, but still just a scary situation there. So I wanted to make sure you heard all of that.